We are live for Thursday night football. We got the New Orleans Saints at the Arizona Cardinals. Going to be potentially the end of the streak of the bad Thursday night football games. We'll see about that, though. We'll see about that. Definitely a chance we continue the streak of the awful Thursday night football games. The Saints are 2.5-point underdogs in this game. I don't really understand that line. I got to say, this is probably the game I have the most confidence in the spread on a Thursday night so far this season. We're 7 weeks in, and I think this is probably my favorite spread on a Thursday night. I'm taking the Saints plus 2.5 tonight. I get that they're on the road, which it definitely is impacting the spread, but I do like the Saints to beat the Cardinals today. Do you start Hopkins over Olave? Seeing that question in the TikTok live. I'm sure we're going to get that question in the YouTube live as well. DeAndre Hopkins is back today. And I think Olave and Hopkins, they're both must starts. I would try to start both of them. Sam, the man, happy Thursday, buddy. Happy Thursday, Joey. Thanks for tuning in to the YouTube live. We're live on TikTok and YouTube. Going to be breaking down my thoughts for this Thursday night game, my thoughts for week 7, and my thoughts for fantasy football in general. This is a brutal bye week, guys. We have a lot of good players on bye this week. The Bills are on bye this week. There's the Vikings on bye this week as well. Let me pull up all the players on bye. We got the Bills, the Rams, the Vikings, and the Eagles. I mean, so many top fantasy players on bye this week. This is really when the depth starts to kick in fantasy football. We are going to be seeing Andy Dalton start tonight. James Conner inactive tonight. Eno Benjamin must start player again. But let me get to the DeAndre Hopkins stuff quickly, because I know there's going to be a lot of DeAndre Hopkins questions tonight. And I think, honestly, the crux and the best DeAndre Hopkins question I've seen up to this point has been DeAndre Hopkins or Chris Olave. I mean, both guys are playing in this game. I mean, this is the quintessential Thursday night question. And personally, I'm going Chris Olave. I am going Chris Olave. I think you have to be starting Chris Olave this week. I don't think there's any way around it. We have Chris Olave just 3 spots ahead of Hopkins in our projections in the WalterPicks app. WalterPicks app, by the way, completely free to download, completely free to do as many start-sit comparisons as you want, completely free to do as many trade comparisons as you want. So if you haven't checked that app out yet, you got to check it out. It's in the YouTube description. It's in the TikTok bio. But I'm playing Olave over Hopkins because I think Olave is just a little bit more of a known commodity. We know what we're getting with Olave, and it is good, deep targets. Olave leads the entire NFL in air yards despite missing a game. I mean, absolutely crazy to wrap your head around that. He's missed 1 game, and he still leads all players in the NFL in air yards. This guy's seeing truly elite volume. I'm talking top 5 in the NFL type volume. So, yeah, I don't know if there's a rookie wide receiver at this moment I want more than Chris Olave. And Chris Olave is a guy that I just don't think you can bench against the Cardinals defense. They've been okay against receivers, but really this defense isn't very good. The Cardinals defense is not good. I think Alvin Kamara obviously set to smash tonight. He's an auto start tonight with how many yards he's been getting. Guys, Alvin Kamara has not scored a touchdown yet this season. Absolutely ridiculous with how many yards he has. No TDs for Alvin Kamara this season. That likely changes tonight. Darren Waller or Taysom Hill is a question we're seeing in the YouTube live right now. I have Taysom Hill as a fringe start tonight, not a must start. Let me pull that up actually on the YouTube live. You can see that also right now on the TikTok live. But yeah, I have Taysom Hill as a fringe start. He still has the ceiling. We didn't see a good game out of him last week. He didn't score a touchdown, but guys, he's going to get at least 5 carries in this game. Andy Dalton starting. He could throw another pass or 2 in this game as well, but his floor is still close to 0 points like most tight ends. I actually think Juwan Johnson is in the same type of tier as Taysom Hill in this game. The Cardinals have been horrible. I mean, horrible. Dead last horrible in the NFL. Maybe they're second to last after the Seahawks, actually. They might be second to last. But I mean, terrible. I think the Seahawks and the Cardinals have allowed just a ridiculous, they've been the second worst, ridiculous amount of yards to tight ends this season. The Seahawks and the Cardinals both are allowing over 80 yards per game to tight ends this season. No other team is even over 75. I do like Kamara over 4 receptions. Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, they're both out again in this game. Will we see Michael Thomas again this season? Honestly, it's a real question you can ask. I think we will, but I mean, I'm not giving Michael Thomas the benefit of the doubt. He does not deserve the benefit of the doubt with these injuries after missing most of the last 2 years. This toe injury has turned into a foot injury. and he's now missed, 3 straight games? I mean, really tough for MT out there. Is D-Hop a lock tonight? Start him over Pierce and Benjamin. I would not start DeAndre Hopkins over Dameon Pierce. I would start him over Eno Benjamin, though, and I do think he is more or less a lock tonight. Like, he's going to see significant volume. I have my doubts, though, about this Arizona Cardinals offense and team in general. Let's talk about the offense, though, because the offense has been really, really bad. The Cardinals, I think, are averaging the least yards per play this season. I don't think there's a team. Let me pull this up. I don't think there's a team averaging less yards per play than the Cardinals. NFL yards per play. Let me pull this up. They have been just embarrassing in the yards per play category. They're second to last. They're tied with the Steelers at 4.8 yards per play. I mean, this offense has been Carolina Panthers, Pittsburgh Steelers, Washington Commanders type bad this season. They've been worse than the Titans. The thing about how bad the Rams have been, they've been worse than the Rams offensively. They've been worse than the Texans offensively. And honestly, I put most of the blame about this on Cliff Kingsbury. I think you can put some of the blame on Kyler Murray as well. But I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is going to come in and just fix this offense all of a sudden, especially with Marquise Brown out. I do think DeAndre Hopkins still a lock for your fantasy lineups, but I do think the Saints win this game. And they're 2.5-point underdogs. Don't really get that. I'd like them money line and against the spread tonight a decent amount. Yo, Sam, how's it going? Also, I made the Walter's Wonders Wednesday. The Walter Wonders Wednesday. Let's go, Yashima. That's what I'm talking about, man. And it's going well. I'm excited for this game. I think this is probably the best Thursday night game we've had in the last month. I would play Olave over Brandon Cooks. I would play Olave over Brandon Ayuka, the Bazooka as well. I know Ayuk's coming off a huge game and he gets the Chiefs this week. I'm not benching Olave, though. I think Olave is a top 15 option this week. I think we have him 17th in the WalterPicks app rankings. I think he's a top 15 option in my opinion. Again, he leads the NFL in air yards. There's no Michael Thomas. There's no Jarvis Landry. I mean, he's going to get elite usage in this game. Dak or Kyler, I'd play Dak, I think, over Kyler. I don't feel great about Kyler tonight. I'm realizing right now I didn't put him in my must-start, fringe start list. I think he's more of a fringe start, though. I think Kyler's more of a fringe start. With the bye weeks, maybe there's an argument that he's a must-start. Let me tell you the QBs I'm playing over Kyler Murray really quickly. I didn't realize I left him out of that list. That's my bad for people on the TikTok live. Here's the QBs I'm playing over Kyler Murray this week. I'm definitely playing Lamar, Justin Herbert, Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Tua, Derek Carr. All those guys I'm playing over Kyler. I think I'd play Dak over him too. So I think that's 6 guys: Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Tua, Derek Carr, Dak. 8 players I'm starting over Kyler this week. Again, I'll go through it one more time really quickly for the people in the back. I'm starting Lamar over Kyler. I'm starting Herbert over Kyler. Mahomes over Kyler. Those should all be obvious. Joe Burrow over Kyler. That should be obvious as well. Brady over Kyler. I'm still doing that one. I know Brady in the Bucs really struggled last week. I'm still playing Brady over Kyler. I'm playing Tua over Kyler 1,000%. I think Derek Carr over Kyler is a pretty easy one as well. And then Dak is really close. Obviously, he's coming off an injury. There's some risk there. But I'm playing Dak over Kyler too. I think you could make the case for Geno over Kyler. Also, Geno gets the 19th ranked defense this week. I don't hate Geno, but I think Kyler's in sort of a similar tier. But again, the Arizona Cardinals, 4.8 yards per play this season. That ties for dead last in the NFL. I do not think Hopkins comes in and all of a sudden completely fixes this offense. All right, let's get to some of these start sit questions. Kyler or Trevor Lawrence? Yeah, I'd play Kyler over Trevor Lawrence. Why is Moore a fringe start? I think Moore is more of a fringe start because I don't know what the true ceiling is for Rondale Moore. I do think in a PPR league, he's a solid start. But I also know that in a lot of people's leagues, Rondale Moore is definitely not a must start, right? You can even see in some of these questions, I'm sure we'll see some Rondale Moore questions in the comment section. There's a lot of players I'm starting over Rondale Moore for sure. Rondale Moore, though, 10 targets, 6 catches, 49 yards last week. Like, he's gone over 10 points back-to-back games. I think he'll be right around 10 points again in this game. Like, but how likely is it that he drops a 20-point bomb? Not very likely. He's catching the ball right around the line of scrimmage. He's not seeing very deep targets a la Chris Olave, right? They're Chris Olave and Rondale Moore, like polar opposite type players. Olave leads the NFL in air yards. Rondale Moore, he ranks outside the top 90 in air yards per game. I mean, he's seeing almost no air yards per game. So I think that Rondale Moore in a PPR league, he's probably going to get around 10 points. So he's a solid floor play tonight, but I don't think he's a must start. Mike Williams or Olave, guys, it's sounding like Keenan Allen has a real chance to sit this week. And that really is the crux of this question here. I would probably go Mike Williams on the off chance Keenan doesn't go. then you definitely wanted to start Mike Williams over Olave. Rondale or Terry McLaurin full PPR. Yeah, this is like why I don't think Rondale is necessarily a must start tonight. But yeah, I think I would probably, let me see where we have Terry. Yeah, I think Rondale Moore is a little bit safer than Terry at this point. I'm okay going Rondale Moore over Terry McScorin, though we might be changing Terry McScorin to Terry McBoren. We already should have made that move. Thoughts on Jameson Williams and starting Kamara with Winston? Yeah, so Winston's not starting tonight. I just read, I believe, that Andy Dalton's starting tonight. So you definitely have to start Alvin Kamara and get Jameis Winston out of your lineup if you're planning on playing Jameis Winston. It sounds like Jameis Winston might be active. Is he active? Robbie Anderson might get a little bit of run tonight too. That should be interesting. It feels like a little bit fast for Robbie Anderson to get out there and know what he's doing. But we've seen stuff like that before. Really quickly though, thoughts on Jameson Williams. I mean, I don't know if there's a person more excited for Jameson Williams to debut in the NFL than I am. I drafted him in so many best ball leagues. I'm very, very high on Jameson Williams. I think there was a strong case for him to be the number one wide receiver in this stacked wide receiver class before he tore his ACL in the national championship game. And now he's going to come back close to full health. And he's going to be, I think, at full health in the fantasy football playoffs when it really counts. And I know Amon-Ra St. Brown is a beast, and he's going to keep balling, I think, regardless of when and if Jameson Williams returns. But guys, Jameson Williams, I think he is potentially, like, for the older folks that remember him, a better Mike Wallace. And Mike Wallace was a really good deep threat in the NFL for a long time. I think Jameson Williams could be a better version of Mike Wallace, and I think that's pretty exciting for fantasy football. So what's the prop tonight? Yeah, so I am taking the DeAndre Hopkins over a receptions prop. I could easily see him getting 10 catches tonight. It seems like this is the safer play. This is the safest Hopkins prop tonight too. And I know a lot of people are excited about the Hopkins return, which is why I also wanted to call it this Hopkins prop. Like if you're going to take Hopkins props tonight, I really think the one to go with is the receptions prop. Because again, this Cardinals offense, they're averaging 4.8 yards per play, which is tied for dead last in the NFL. So I don't have a ton of faith in his yards tonight. I don't have a ton of faith in him finding the end zone. Both those things could come true as well. But I do have a lot of faith. He's getting at least 6 catches in this game, and he's going to be extremely, extremely involved in this game. And there's no Marshawn Lattimore either, which makes things much, much easier for DeAndre Hopkins. So yeah, I think Hopkins is going to see a lot of volume in this one. PPR, Bateman or Rondale, appreciate you as always. Sam, appreciate that. Alex, I appreciate you as well, man, for tuning into the live. I say this at the end of every live, but time, I think, is the most valuable thing we have in life. So I appreciate everyone spending some time on this live with me. And yeah, I think Rondale's the safer play here. I've been nervous about the Bateman injury from the start. And finally, we get an actual report about what the injury actually was. I mean, I don't know how the Ravens get away with this, but they just didn't report the Rashad Bateman injury in what it actually was for literally 2 weeks. And now it's out. And it sounds like he has a real chance to play this week, but we don't know for sure. So I would play it safe and go with Rondale Moore instead. Happy Thursday, everyone. Going to try to get to as many of the start sits as I can, especially the Thursday night start sits. We got to prioritize the Thursday night start sits. Stop being selfish. We can't get to all the non-Thursday night start sits. That's for the Sunday morning live, where I'm live for like 3.5 hours. We only got like an hour till kickoff tonight. So we got to get these Olave questions in. And yeah, we established this last week. You really can't bench Pittman. You really can't bench Pittman. And I'm glad we established that last week, obviously, when he has an elite, what do you have, 16 targets or something, 16 catches, something ridiculous type of volume from Michael Pittman. And that's what we expected from him. Obviously, the Colts, yeah, 16 targets, 13 catches for Michael Pittman. Last week, he finished as the number 5 wide receiver, and I think we have him ranked right around there. This week, we have him as the number 7 wide receiver. So yeah, you got to start Michael Pittman. As much as I love Olave, I'm not starting Olave over Pittman. Taysom or Gerald Everett. I like Taysom a little bit more than Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett has been okay, but I feel like I'm lower on Gerald Everett than the consensus right now because McKitty's out there running too. They're like playing like 3 tight ends for the Chargers. I don't love Gerald Everett, and there's still a chance Keenan returns this week, which I also think eats into Gerald Everett's ceiling and floor. Thoughts on the name for the Wednesday videos? Yeah, I think I gotta. You're right, Yarchman. I gotta think of some Wednesday. Yarchman, that's what you're saying. Yeah, you were in the Wednesday video. Yeah, I think we did something good. I think Yarchman in that one, if I recall correctly. Also pick 2: Rondo Moore, Romeo Dobbs, or Darnell Mooney. Yeah, you can't be starting Mooney. And guys, there's also supposed to be rain. Right now, I'm going to the Pats game on Monday night. First game I'll be going to this season. I handpicked that one as a game I thought the Pats were going to win before the season. But you can't start Mooney this week if it's going to rain too in that game. We've already seen the rain game for the Bears, and it's pretty ugly. It's pretty ugly for Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet and all the other pass catchers in that offense. Hashtag N'Keal Harry revenge game this week, by the way. Romeo Doubs is definitely close with Rondo Moore, but I think I'd go Rondo Moore over Dobbs this week. All right, Thursday night football question. Rank 3, Eno, ETN, Dillon, PPR. Yeah, this one's also pretty tough. I think at this point, A.J. Dillon's probably behind both of these guys until we really see it from the Packers offensive line. And A.J. Dillon, I would probably say I would go Eno, then ETN, then A.J. Dillon, or Eno, then A.J. Dillon, then ETN. One of those orders, but I would start Eno over both ETN and Dillon in a PPR league. Again, we saw such elite usage from Eno last week. There's no James Conner. There's no Darrell Williams either. Last week, the production didn't come through. Benjamin only 9.5 fantasy points last week. That was a pretty big disappointment, especially if you played him on DraftKings like I did. But he played 87% of the snaps. He had 15 carries. And guys, he ran 31 routes. He ran a route in over 70% of the Cardinals dropbacks last week. That is elite RB1 usage. I think he profiles as still a top 15 running back this week. I think he's got to be started in most situations. I would play ETN, I think, over Rondale, but it's definitely close. I'm playing Eno over James Robinson, though I do like James Robinson a little bit more than most people this week. I'm definitely playing Eno over James Robinson. James Robinson's a 50-50 split, and Eno's not. Man, Eno's going to be out there almost 90% of the snaps tonight. Hey, Sam, what do you think? Taysom Hill or Darren Waller? Waller's been disappointing, and I need a boom this week with buys. You got to go Taysom. You got to go Taysom over Darren Waller. Get Darren Waller as far away from your starting lineup this week as possible. I literally just read a report that said a quote from Darren Waller that he might be out this week again. I think he said something along the lines of, yeah, it's going to be tough for me to go this week. So it sounds like Darren Waller, even coming off the bye, is going to sit out again this week, or at least it's very likely, and it's very likely he's not at 100% still, so you have to play Taysom. This one really isn't even a decision. You're forced to play Taysom. I think you got to make other plans if you're planning on starting Darren Waller. Bench Brees for Mixon so I can get Godwin in the lineup again. Kid, not a Thursday night question. We'll cut you some slack. But no, it's tough to bench Brees for Mixon right now. And they're polar opposites in terms of efficiency. I know that the name Mixon still feels a little bit better than the name Brees in our minds. They got drafted in much different spots in your league, but we're well past that. I think you've got to be starting Brees over Mixon at this point. And yeah, you got to get Godwin in the lineup, I think. And yeah, you have to start all those other guys too, Kamara, Debo, and Pittman. Kamara has to be started tonight. I'm playing Eno Benjamin over Tony Pollard, though I do like Tony Pollard this week too. I mean, Zeke and Pollard are really good, interesting starts this week, but I'm still playing Eno over Pollard for sure. Olave or Godwin, I'd play Godwin over Olave. Eno or Brandon Cooks. I like Brandon Cooks this week. I do really like Brandon Cooks this week. Another guy that hasn't scored a touchdown yet that is due for a touchdown. We're just saying Alvin Kamara, guys, he has not scored a touchdown yet this season. It's crazy that he hasn't scored a TD yet. I know he missed a few games too. But yeah, I think Brandon Cooks versus Eno's definitely safer than Cooks. I want to say my heart's telling me Cooks, but my brain is telling me you got to go Eno Benjamin, who played almost 90% of the snaps last game, and he's a home favorite tonight in this game. I do think the Saints win this game, though. A PPR Mostert or Kirk, I'd go Mostert over Kirk. Kirk has a really tough matchup this week. He had Christian Kirk in the Jaguars, guys. They are going to be really encouraging, I think, buy low candidates. I'll probably make a TikTok about this after this week and probably a YouTube video as well. Christian Kirk, last week he played the number 2 pass defense against receivers, and this week he's playing the number 1 pass defense against receivers. He has back-to-back weeks against the top 2 pass defenses in the NFL against receivers. I mean, extremely good buy low opportunity, I think, for Christian Kirk in fantasy. But yeah, you don't need to start him this week. The Giants have allowed the least fantasy points per game to receivers this season. The Colts have allowed the second least. Kirk did score a TD last week. Pretty solid performance, honestly, against that defense. But yeah, I'm not starting Christian Kirk with a ton of confidence this week. I am starting Eno Benjamin over Brian Robinson for sure. Did not like those comments after the game from the Commanders coaching staff saying they wish they got Antonio Gibson more involved. Guys, the Commanders have a 3-way backfield, and that's not good for fantasy football. All 3 of those guys, McKissick, Gibson, Brian Robinson, if they don't score TDs, it's going to be so tough to trust them. Start to Olave, Walker, Evans, full PPR. yeah, you got to bench Olave in this one. You have to start Evans over Olave, and you got to start Kenneth Walker against the Chargers over Olave as well. We got a question from Day in the YouTube live. We're live on TikTok and YouTube right now, by the way. Really quickly, shout out to everyone who's subscribed to the YouTube. Shout out to everyone who's following on TikTok. I mean, I'm out here grinding, providing free content, and really, it's a very easy way for you to support me in the brand. So I do appreciate that. All right, pick 2 at wide receiver, 1 at flex, CD, Pittman, Waddle, D-Hop, Olave, or ETN. Day's always out here giving us his whole roster. We got to pick 2 at wide receiver and 1 at flex. So you're certainly starting these first 2 guys. I think you got to start CD and Pittman, and then I think the flex is Waddle. I think you flex Waddle and you bench D-Hop, Olave, and ETN. I think you got to start these first 3 guys. Waddle in a really good spot this week against the Steelers and with Tua returning. And we already saw Waddle and Tyreek, guys. These guys are matchup proof and they're quarterback proof. I mean, there's very few players you can say that about. It's true for Waddle and Tyreek. You can't be benching either of those guys now. Hill or Hawkinson? I'd go Hawk over Hill. The line's coming off the bye. I do still think it's a question we can ask, but yeah, I would go Hawk over Taysom Hill tonight. Thursday Night Football question, half PPR, Benjamin, Olave, Lazard. Yeah, I would rank these guys half PPR. I'd probably say Olave, then then Lazard. I think there's a case if you're trying to just lock in the points, you could say Olave, Lazard. But I mean, I still think Olave's ceiling is much higher than Eno's in this game. Again, no Jarvis Landry. There's no Michael Thomas, and there's no Adam Troutman either. I actually think Juwan Johnson, if you're looking for a deep play, Juwan Johnson is playable at tight end. I still think I'd prefer Taysom Hill over Juwan Johnson. I like the carries, but the Cardinals have been the second worst defense against tight ends this season, only behind the Seahawks. They have stopped 0 tight ends. I'm talking no tight ends have been stopped against this defense. And Juwan Johnson's going to be playing close to 90% of the snaps tonight like he did last time Adam Troutman was out. Taysom Hill or Kyle Pitts? We get this question again. I got this question wrong last week. And I actually was answering at the beginning of live on the Sunday morning live. I was saying Kyle Pitts over Taysom Hill. And then as live went on, I sort of talked myself out of Kyle Pitts over Taysom Hill. And this week, I am going Kyle Pitts over Taysom Hill. And here's why. Here's why I would go Kyle Pitts over Taysom Hill this week. And again, I think this is a fair question. Both guys have a really low floor. But this is one of the first games, I think, this season where there's a pretty good potential for the Falcons to fall behind early. They get the Bengals this week, and that's really what you need for Kyle Pitts to hit his ceiling. Last week, Mariota threw the ball, I think, only 14 times, and this has been the case in so many of their games where they keep the game close or they get early leads or they don't fall behind early, and then Mariota ends up barely needing to throw the ball, and they still are competitive in these games. Last game, guys, Mariota threw the ball 14 times. He completed 92% of his passes, but again, he only threw the ball 14 times, and there's just no way Kyle Pitts can have any sort of ceiling on a team that's only throwing the ball 14 times in a game. But again, this week they get the Bengals, who are coming off a pretty good offensive day. I think the Bengals could get an early lead in that game, which is why I would go Kyle Pitts. I think they have similar floors. I still like Kyle Pitts, though, a little bit more this week. Olave or Cooper? I'm going Olave over Amari Cooper. Is a good spot, though, for Amari Cooper. Undefeated against the spread. LOL. Who's undefeated against the spread, Joe? Are one of these teams undefeated against the spread? Are you undefeated against the spread? I'm not undefeated against the spread. I picked every single game against the spread so far this season, and I'm 51% against the spread. I mean, I guess it could be worse. Hey, Walter, Brandon Cooks or Amari Cooper? This is a classic mistake, man. Classic mistake. My name is Sam. Don't worry about it. I forgive you. Walter is the AI algorithm that I helped build that powers the WalterPicks app, which you can download for free in the iOS and Android app store. Again, my name is Sam. Classic mistake, though. Classic mistake. Brandon Cooks or Amari Cooper? Yeah, I think, again, not a Thursday night question, but I would probably lean Amari Cooper in his matchup over Brandon Cooks. Hopkins or Olave? Again, this is, I think, the question of the night. This is the question of the night. It is Hopkins or Olave and Hopkins. And I would imagine most people would probably disagree with me on this one, but hang with me for a second here. Olave is a pretty known commodity at this point. I know he's a rookie, but we know what we're getting with Chris Olave. We're getting elite usage, elite volume. He's going to be out there at least around 75% of the snaps. He's at around 70 to 80% of the snaps in all of his healthy games, he's ran a route on over 80% of the Saints dropbacks in all of his healthy games. And he's had at least 7 targets in 3 out of his 4 healthy games. And he leads the entire NFL in air yards. I mean, he's seeing the type of targets that you want. He's seeing extremely deep targets. He's averaging 3 deep targets per game. That ranked number 1 in the NFL. So while Hopkins might get more targets than Olave, Olave's targets are more valuable than Hopkins. Hopkins has less of a chance at this huge, huge upside as Olave. And I think that we know what we're getting with Olave. We just don't know exactly what we're getting. From Hopkins, we haven't seen him play in a very long time. And the last time we saw him play, he was dealing with an injury too. So I do think there's still a sour taste in some people's mouth about that. I still think Hopkins has a good game, though. I think it's a good question. I think both guys are very, very startable. And in most situations, you should be starting both. But if I had to choose between Olave and Hopkins, I'm choosing Olave tonight over Hopkins. Let's get to some of these start sits in the TikTok live as well. The Cardinals are really good at taking away the wide receiver one, though. Yeah, so as true as this might be, let's pull this up. The Cardinals have been good against receivers. This is true. And Hopkins is up against the Saints defense without Marshawn Lattimore. Devontae Smith did better than A.J. Brown when the Eagles played against the Cardinals. DK Metcalf did worse, I think, than Tyler Lockett last week against this team. Ben Skowronek did not do better than Cooper Kupp, but we're also talking about Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp had 16 points against the Cardinals. I mean, they have been really good at stopping receivers. It's just there's such a clear passing funnel to Chris Olave tonight. But honestly, looking at these defensive numbers, and then let me pull up the Saints too, I think you can make a very strong case for DeAndre Hopkins over Chris Olave. Let me pull this up. Yeah, then you pulled the numbers for the Saints. And last week, Jamar Chase has a 30 bomb on them. The second 30 bomb of the season, Justin Jefferson had a 30 bomb against them as well. So yeah, I think just looking, if you're just purely playing the matchup, then yeah, it is Hopkins over Olave. But again, I think Hopkins is a little bit less of a known commodity. And I do think, despite how good the Cardinals have been against top receivers, I still think Olave sees 6+ targets tonight and several deep targets as well. And again, as good as they've been against top receivers, I still don't think the Cardinals defense overall is very good. And I still think the Saints win this game. And I still think Hopkins will not just solve the Cardinals' offensive struggles. I don't think one wide receiver who's well past his prime. He still could be very good, but he's certainly past his prime. DeAndre Hopkins is 30 years old. We're hoping 30-year-old DeAndre Hopkins coming off a PED suspension will turn around the whole Cardinals offense. I got other news for you. The Arizona Cardinals are averaging 4.8 yards per play this season. That ranks dead last, tied with the Steelers. Eno Benjamin over Mike Williams or Sutton? Nope, I wouldn't do that. I don't think I'd do that for either of those guys. Maybe over Sutton, but I don't think so. Taysom Hill or Gerald Everett? I'd play Taysom over Everett. Sam, not a Thursday night question. Just want to do this before. Should I pick up Brandon Cooks before someone does it? Or Jacoby Myers and drop Pickens? Cooks and Myers are both available in my league, full PPR. Yeah, this one's close. I mean, all three of these guys I feel like should be rostered. I don't know how many guys are in your league. If this is a 12-team league, really all three of these guys need to be rostered. But I'll tell you that Jacoby Myers actually ranks the best out of those three guys this week for us in the WalterPicks app. Jacoby Myers, guys, has been elite this season, and he's missed a few games, so it's on a slightly smaller sample size, but he just continues to show up. I mean, I think Jacoby Myers is just very good. He's right now 13th in fantasy points per game. He's averaging 15.7 fantasy points per game in PPR leagues. I'm scared to drop Pickens, though. I got to be honest. I think that the ceiling for Pickens is still really high on a Steelers team that's going to have to keep throwing the ball because their defense is so bad and their defense is so banged up. And the Chase Claypool trade rumors, like all of a sudden Chase Claypool gets traded and George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, I think get a huge bump in their weekly projections. So right now, though, I would prefer Jacoby Myers over Cooks over George Pickens. Olave or Walker 3 at flex, or bench or start Cooper, Cooks, Olave. Yeah, so you're definitely starting Walker over all those guys. You got to start Kenneth Walker this week. I mean, Kenneth is a must start this week for sure. Sutton or Olave, I would go Olave over Sutton. Olave or Ramondre. Yeah, so Damian Harris practiced in full today. I don't even know what that means anymore for the Pats. I just have no trust in the Pats. Injury reports, just like I have no trust in so many of these injury reports. It's been horrible this season with the lack of clarity in the injury reports per usual for the Pats. It's been horrible for the Ravens as well. I mean, Dalton Schultz, not even on the injury report, surprise inactive. I mean, like, we got to have a little bit more consistency here, NFL, with these injury reports. But I do think that I would definitely be starting Kenneth Walker, and I do think Ramondre Stevenson has a decent chance to be much worse than we expect this week with Damien Harris returning. If Damien Harris returns, Mondre all of a sudden, he's probably, he's a significantly less chance at those valuable goal line touches. Like he still is going to be very involved, maybe 60% of the work when Damien Harris returns with how good he's been. But he's going to lose valuable touches still to Damien Harris. How is Alvin Kamara going to do? He's probably going to be the player in this game. Alvin Kamara has looked really good these last few games. The Cardinals have not been super great against running backs this season. And on top of that, Alvin Kamara hasn't scored a touchdown yet this season. Kenneth Walker coming off a 97-yard game. He actually had over 100 yards total in that game, and he scored a touchdown. Alvin Kamara in his last 2 games, he has back-to-back games over 120 yards. He is I think he's over 300 yards. Yeah, he's over 300 yards in his last 2 combined games, yet he still hasn't scored a touchdown yet. He has almost 500 yards this season and no touchdowns. I mean, that is truly impressive, and I bet that ends tonight. I think Alvin Kamara goes over 100 yards and a TD tonight. Romeo Doubs, Michael Gallup, Brian Robinson. Again, not a Thursday night question, but yeah, I think I would go Gallup probably against the Lions with Dak returning. Do I trade Mondre and Olave for A.J. Brown? Yes, I would do this. I would do this right now. I think that's a huge upgrade over Olave, and with Damien Harris on the mend as well, I do really like that move. And I love packaging 2 guys to get the best player in the trade. I think that's a great trade. Trade Walker for Higgins with lots of RB depth. Yeah, I think that's fine. I really like Walker, but I really like Higgins too. And if you have a lot of RB depth, it's not bad to cash in on Kenneth Walker. Taysom or Schultz? Yeah, we cannot trust Schultz. Guys, we can't trust Schultz till we see him on the field looking like moderately healthy. I mean, we haven't seen it for 3 straight weeks. 3 straight donuts for Dalton Schultz. The surprise inactive really rubbed me the wrong way. It felt like they knew he wasn't going to play, and then they just didn't put him on the injury report. I guess they're saying that it was something that like they weren't expecting that came up, some sort of setback for Dalton Schultz right before the game as he was warming up. But now he's practicing in full again. It's super strange. The Dalton Schultz stuff is really strange. I don't have very much confidence in him right now. I got to see him looking healthy but in a real game before we start Dalton Schultz again. So yeah, I'm fine starting Taysom Hill over Schultz, and I'm actually starting Taysom over Schultz in one of my high-stakes leagues. And again, the Cardinals haven't been amazing against the run, so this isn't a horrible spot for Taysom Hill, but he does have a really low floor still. Please help, DK or Olave or Cooks. Yeah, I'd probably go DK over Olave and over Cooks. All right. Does JT start? Yeah, I think he does. I don't think I'd play JT over Alvin Kamara, though. Ayuk or Pickens, I'd probably go with Pickens. Why is Eno a must start? Because Eno played almost 90% of the snaps last week. Almost 90% of the snaps. He ran 31 routes. He ran a route on over 70% of Kyler Murray's dropbacks last week. I mean, there are very few running backs in the NFL that have that type of elite usage. He's going to be out there basically every single snap. He saw 15 carries. He only had 65 total yards. He had 3 catches too. So 18 total touches for Eno last week against a bad Seahawks defense. He didn't do that great production-wise, but the volume's there, and that's what we're banking on in fantasy. It's the volume. Moore or Ayuk? Yeah, I'd probably go Ayuk of the Bazooka over Rondale Moore, just by a little bit. I'd definitely play Zeke over Eno this week, though. This is a very good week for Zeke. You have to start Zeke this week, I think, against the Lions, who have been really, really, really bad against the run. I'm not starting Eno over Sutton, though, and I'm not starting Eno over Swift either. I'm not benching Swift. I think you've got to play Swift, even though I think Jamal Williams will still be involved coming off the bye. Swift is too elite, I think, to bench. I'd play Eno over Travis Etienne, though. Pierce and Pitts for DJ Moore and Aaron Jones, who wins the trade. Yeah, I think I'd prefer the Dameon Pierce side. Obviously, one side's getting a tight end and one side's not, so I don't really know what their tight end situations are here. But I think Dameon Pierce is the best player in this trade. As good as Aaron Jones has been in his career, Dameon Pierce is locked into pretty elite usage, 20-plus touches per game for Dameon Pierce. He's been much more efficient than Aaron Jones as well. Taysom or Pitts, the real question. Yeah, again, this is the question every week, and last week I got it wrong. Last week I said Taysom over Pitts, and this week I'll probably get it wrong again, but I'm going Pitts over Taysom this week, and it's because I think this is a game for the Falcons this week that they could fall behind early, and that's exactly what you need for Kyle Pitts and Drake London to have a high ceiling in fantasy against the Bengals. I do like playing Pitts. Hey, Sam, Thursday night question, Bateman or Rondo? Moore, yeah, I'd go Rondo. We can't trust Bateman. We don't know for sure Bateman's playing, so you don't trust Bateman. Trade away London. I wouldn't trade away London. I feel like, and I have London on one of my teams, and I have been trying to trade him away, and you just can't. Nobody wants London right now. You need to wait for a good game from London before you can trade him, I think. Otherwise, you're just selling too low. People are treating him like a bench player. I think he's more of like a flex player. Thursday night, Kyler or Dak, you got to play Dak over Kyler. Let me run through the QBs again. I apologize for not putting Kyler on this list. I thought he was on there. Guess I forgot to put him on. But here's all the QBs I'm starting over Kyler Murray tonight. I'm starting Lamar, Herbert, Mahomes. Those should all be obvious. I'm starting Joe Burrow, Brady, and Tua all over Kyler. I'm starting Derek Carr over Kyler. I'm starting Dak Prescott over Kyler. I think you can strongly consider Geno over Kyler as well. And that's the end of the list for me. Then you're starting Kyler. Kyler, again, this offense, averaging 4.8 yards per play. That ties for dead last in the NFL. It's been so brutally inefficient for this offense this season. And I don't think DeAndre Hopkins moves the needle that much for this offense. I think this is actually a structural offensive problem with how bad they've been at stretching the field this season. Thursday Night Football question, Rondale tonight or Romeo Doubs on Sunday? Yeah, I'd play Rondale tonight over Romeo Doubs. Sam, is Juju and Allen Robinson enough to get D-Hop? I would do it. I would do Juju and A-Rob for D-Hop. I think it's pretty fair. I mean, Juju and A-Rob, they're both coming off their best games of the season. So this trade makes some sense to me, but I would definitely prefer the D-Hop side. But I do think it's fair. We got a Thursday night start sit. Sam, looking forward to a good Thursday night game today. Yeah, I am too. And I do think it would be very comical, though, if we got another horrible Thursday night game. Some part of me deep down is rooting for that. Jalen Waddle, D-Hop, Olave, and Keenan Allen, Swift. Yeah, so Keenan Allen sounds like he might wait another week to come back all of a sudden. I don't know if he's going to play or not. If he plays, though, you're going to want to start him. I'm okay benching Olave in this one. I think you got to go Waddle for sure, and you got to go Swift for sure. And then I'm okay going D-Hop over Olave. Again, looking at the matchups, I know at the beginning of the stream I was saying Olave over Hopkins, but when you really look at the matchups, I actually think I changed my mind on this. The Arizona Cardinals, they have been very good at taking away the top receiver of teams. Let me just run through it for you really quickly. Why you need to be starting DeAndre Hopkins tonight over Olave. The Arizona Cardinals, the best receiving game so far against the Cardinals was Devontae Smith. He did better than A.J. Brown in that game. He only had, though, 87 yards on 11 targets. Cooper Kupp played this team, and Cooper Kupp had, I think, his worst game of the season. Yeah, the worst game of Cooper Kupp's season came against the Arizona Cardinals back in week 3. He only had 6 targets, 4 catches, 44 yards, no touchdowns on that one. So the Cardinals are pretty elite at stopping the top receivers. The Saints, not so much. Jamar Chase, 30 bomb against them. Justin Jefferson, 30 bomb against the Saints. And they were without Marshawn Lattimore again. So yeah, I'm okay starting Hop over Olave. I still think there's a little bit more uncertainty with Hop than there is with Olave. Guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, by the way, smash the subscribe button so you don't miss the weekly content we're putting out on YouTube and you don't miss the Sunday and Thursday lives. And if you're watching live on TikTok, make sure you hit the follow button because I'm posting daily TikTok content and I'm live every Thursday, every Sunday. Taysom, Njoku, or Pitts. Yeah, I personally would go Pitts still over Njoku and over Taysom. Start Olave. Yeah, I still think Olave is startable. Again, it's a bad. It's a tough matchup for Olave, but still the usage, I think it puts him in must-start territory. Rondale or Juju or Dobbs. I personally would go. I think I'd personally go with Rondale over Dobbs. Over Juju's tough. I know he's coming off a good game, but it is a much tougher matchup for Juju coming up this week. I'm okay going Rondale over Juju. I think Rondale's floor is safer than Juju's floor, though Juju's ceiling certainly is higher. Rondale doesn't have the best ceiling. He really doesn't have the best ceiling. Should I trade Deontay for Tyler Algier? No, absolutely not. Rodrigo, first of all, no. Second of all, whoever sent you that trade, I mean, like, ignore all trades they send you in the future and tell them that that's just an absolute joke. No, you are not doing that trade. Eno or Jeff Wilson. Yeah, I prefer Eno over Jeff Wilson. Again, pretty elite usage for Eno so far this season. Olave or Deontay. Deontay's much safer floor. I'd say Olave probably higher ceiling. It's so simple. Sit Eno SMH. I don't think so. I don't think it's that simple. Benjamin played 90% of the snaps last week for the Arizona Cardinals. I think that's top 3 last week in snap rate at the running back position. He also ran 31 routes. That's also top 3 at the running back position. And all that matters for these running backs is their usage. And so we know the usage is good for Eno. The matchup might not be great, but the usage is great. And so, yeah, I think he is in must-start territory in most situations. I'm playing Christian Kirk still over Rondale Moore, even though it's a really tough matchup for Kirk. I think I would probably play Eno, though, over Kirk. And I'd play Eno over Rondale Moore as well. Just got Alfred, Sanders, Gabe, Deontay, and Michael Carter for my Swift, Jamal, CH, Cooks, and Gallup. I don't hate this one. I think it's pretty fair. Swift is the best player in the trade, though, so I don't love it. but I don't hate the rest of the stuff you're giving up. And Sanders is good. Sanders is close, at least, to Swift in the running back tiers. And then Gabe, I think, is probably the second best player in the trade. But yeah, I don't know. This seems pretty fair, Kyle. Relatively fair. But again, you're giving up the best player, so I don't love it. Sutton or Olave, yeah, I'm okay going Sutton over Olave. You can't bench Mike Evans. Do not bench Mike Evans this week. Absolutely not. Zeke, Elliott, or Raheem Mostert. Again, not a Thursday night question, but yeah, I'd go Zeke over Raheem Mostert. Again, guys, I'm doing my best to get to as many of these start sits as I can, but if I don't get to your start sit question, the number one best place to go, it is the WalterPicks app, which is completely free to download on the iOS and Android app stores, and it can answer all your start sit and trade questions for 100% completely free. And there's also some premium subscriptions that unlock some really, really great features in that app that are going to help you win your fantasy leagues. And this is the number one way you could possibly support me, is checking out the WalterPicks app, which is in the TikTok bio, which is in the YouTube description. Why is Rondo Moore a fringe start? It's because Rondo Moore's seeing a lot of targets. I think in PPR leagues, he's got a solid floor. I think he had 10 targets? Yeah, 10 targets last week, 8 targets the week before that. So back-to-back games with at least 8 targets. Back-to-back games with at least 6 catches. I mean, 6 catches, PPR leagues, at least 6 catches. That's a locked-in 6 points plus whatever yards he gets. The problem for Rondo Moore is he's getting all of his catches like right near the line of scrimmage, similar to last year, which really lowers his ceiling. He's not going to have these huge plays because he's almost always catching the ball like 1-0 to like 4 yards down the field. The always use your advice, CD or Olave. Yeah, I would go with CD for sure over Olave. Thursday Night Football, Taysom Hill or Zach Ertz. Yeah, I'd go with Zach Ertz over Taysom Hill. Thursday night, Taysom Hill or Evan Ingram. I'm going Evan Ingram. I really like Evan Ingram a lot this week. Guys, if you're watching live on YouTube, smash the subscribe button so you don't miss these lives every Thursday and Sunday. Smash the like button too. Helps us out a ton. Really do appreciate that. Going to get to every start sit I can. Yeah, we are starting D-Hop tonight. And actually, that's the free player prop on this live tonight as well. You got to be going with the Hopkins receptions prop. I think the receptions prop is safer than the yards prop and the touchdown prop. I don't have a lot of faith in this Cardinals offense still. They're averaging 4.8 yards per play this season. That ranks dead last in the NFL, tied with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins changes that or fixes that all that much, but I still think Hopkins is going to see pretty elite target volume tonight. No Marshawn Lattimore. We've seen Justin Jefferson. We've seen Jamar Chase torch this team for 30-plus fantasy points. So, yeah, I do like Hopkins tonight. And I like Hopkins a little bit more than Chris Olave. I still like Olave tonight, but the Cardinals defense is better than the Saints defense against receivers. I still think Olave is a start tonight, though, in most situations. Let me pull up my must start, fringe start, must bench list. I think Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Hopkins, Zach Ertz, Eno Benjamin, you kind of have to start them in almost every single situation. Fringe starts, Rondo Moore, he has a high floor, pretty low ceiling, though. Taysom Hill, we know what we're getting with him. It's a boom bust play, just like almost every single tight end. His floor is basically 0 points. We've seen a pretty good ceiling game out of Taysom. Probably we've already seen the best game of his season. He scored 4 TDs in that game, but this isn't a very good run defense from the Cardinals. I do think Taysom Hill has a pretty good ceiling tonight, but again, the floor is low. He's not a must start. I'm playing Kyle Pitts over Taysom Hill. I'm playing Evan Ingram over Taysom Hill. I'm playing TJ Hawkinson over Taysom Hill, just to give you a sense of the type of guys I would be playing over Taysom Hill, and I'm for sure playing Zach Ertz over Taysom Hill as well. I think Juwan Johnson, he's probably the sleeper of this game. I don't see anyone talking about Juwan Johnson. He played, I think, close to 80% of the snaps last time Adam Trautman was out, which was last week. He had 87% of the snaps, Juwan Johnson, last week against the Bengals. He saw 6 targets. He had 4 catches for 41 yards. And why I think this matters is the Cardinals have not stopped any tight ends this season. I mean, not a single tight end has been stopped by the Cardinals this season. They are allowing over 80 yards per game to tight ends, and that is crazy when you think about how bad tight ends in the NFL are at getting yards, and they're allowing 80 yards per game to tight ends. I mean, crazy. And again, Juwan Johnson's going to be out there 87% of the snaps. I think you could make a pretty strong case, actually, that Juwan Johnson, a better tight end play than Taysom Hill. I wouldn't say that, but it's certainly possible Juwan Johnson outscores Taysom Hill tonight. I do think Juwan Johnson is a fringe start if you're really desperate at tight end. But yeah, I'm playing Kittle over Taysom Hill. I'm playing like most of the top tight ends over Taysom Hill tonight. And then must bench everyone else. Bench Aiden Dalton. I think Kyler Murray is more of a fringe start. Let me run through the QBs. I'm starting over Kyler Murray one more time. I'm starting Lamar Jackson over Kyler. I'm starting Justin Herbert over Kyler. I'm starting Mahomes over Kyler. I'm starting Burrow, Brady, Tua, Derek Carr, and Dak. and Geno. I'm starting all those guys over Kyler. Then I'm playing Kyler. Geno's the one where I could see you going Kyler over Geno. Definitely could see that, but I'm definitely not starting any of those. I'm definitely not starting Kyler over any of those guys I just mentioned. Olave or Debo. You got to go Debo against the Chiefs, 1,000%. Mike Evans or Amon-Ra St. Brown, not a Thursday night question, but I would probably go Mike Evans over Among Us, but I don't like benching Among Us. Really got to start both these guys. No, you're not playing Taysom over Kittle. I would not be playing Taysom over Kittle. By the way, I do like the Saints in this game. And my rationale for that is really just I don't think Hopkins fixes this entire offense like a lot of people I feel like are assuming. I still like Hopkins over 5.5 receptions tonight. I still think Hopkins must start fantasy player, but in the real NFL and the real offense, like they're averaging 4.8 yards per play. Is 30-year-old DeAndre Hopkins really going to be coming back and changing that completely now that Marquise Brown is hurt too? I don't think so. And I think the Saints are a better team overall, even with the Michael Thomas and the Jarvis Landry injury. So I think the Saints win this game straight up, and they're 2.5-point underdogs in this game. But yeah, I'm not playing Kittle. I'm sorry, I'm not playing Taysom over Kittle. Olave or Evans? Yeah, definitely Evans over Olave. Need serious help. Or Keenan Allen? Yeah, this one's tough, man, because if Keenan's playing, it's got to be Keenan. It's got to be Keenan if Keenan's playing. But we still don't know if Keenan's playing. And he got asked this week, maybe would it make sense for him to wait one more week to come back? And he said, yeah, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. There's definitely a good chance Keenan sits this week. So that makes me feel like you just have to play Eno. Like we just can't hold out hope. And it also makes me feel like you have to hold out hope though for Mike Williams, because Mike Williams is a good play even with Keenan Allen this week in their matchup against the Seahawks. But if Keenan's out, I mean, Mike Williams might be a top 5 option this week. So definitely play Mike over Olave. I would definitely bench Olave tonight if you have Mike Williams. Chris Olave or Jalen Waddle, yeah, we can't be benching Jalen Waddle. I'm playing Taysom Hill over Schultz. I have no faith in Schultz right now. We've seen 3 straight games of 0 points for him. I know he didn't play last week, surprised inactive, but until we see Schultz on the field actually looking healthy, I got no faith in Dalton Schultz. Yo, Sam, smash the thumbs up. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, hit the like button if you're watching live on YouTube. Hit the like button if you're watching live on TikTok as well. That really helps me out a ton. Really takes you like 2 seconds. It actually really does help. I do appreciate that. CMC, Pierce, Kenneth Walker. Yeah, get CMC out of your start sit questions, man. We're starting CMC. Yeah, if you got to bench one, you got to bench Eno here for sure. You're benching Eno. I'm playing Dameon Pierce over Eno. I'm playing Kenneth Walker over Eno. I'm 100% playing CMC over Eno. Kylo, what is going on, man? Hope you had a great week as well. Should I start Taysom Hill or Evan Ingram? Yeah, I'm personally buying into the Evan Ingram revenge game narrative pretty hard this week. I like Evan Ingram this week. Guys, there's very few players in the NFL that have an entire fan base with just so much pure hatred for them than Evan Ingram and the Giants fans. And the great part about it is Evan Ingram hates the Giants fans just as much right back. And he gets the Giants this week. The Giants have been a good defensive team this season, but I also just like Evan Ingram's been out there almost every single play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it's not like, regardless of the revenge game narrative, it's not like Evan Ingram's been a horrible play. And the Giants have a good defense, but they've actually been pretty bad against tight ends. And Mark Andrews had a huge game against them. I don't hate Evan Ingram this week at all. But Taysom Hill does have a higher ceiling for sure than Evan Ingram. I would be playing Taysom Hill I'd be playing Taysom Hill over Dalton Schultz. I would play Taysom Hill over, let me pull up my tight end list here again. I'd be playing Taysom Hill over Noah Fant. I'd play Taysom Hill over Hunter Henry. I'd probably play him over Hayden Hurst. I don't think I'd play him over Robert Tonyan, but you could play him over Robert Tonyan. I would play him over Darren Waller, who I do not think is going to play this week. But I'm not playing Taysom over Evan Ingram this week with the revenge game narrative for Ingram. Olave or Stevenson. Yeah, this one's really interesting because I think Damian Harris really might come back this week. He apparently got in a full practice today, but it's also a great matchup against the Bears. I'm okay going Stevenson over Olave. Sam, I need help. I got you, man. This is why I'm here. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. Eno Benjamin or Raheem Mostert. Yeah, this one's another interesting one. Though I think I would probably lean. I'd probably lean towards Mostert here, just because I like the matchup for him against the Steelers more than I like the matchup tonight against the Saints. Olave or Lamb, yeah, we're never benching CeeDee Lamb. You got to start CeeDee Lamb, especially with Dak returning. I would probably play Lazard over Alec Pierce, Rondale Moore, or Gallup. Yeah, I think Rondale Moore's floor is much higher than Michael Gallup's. Gallup's ceiling probably a little bit higher, though, than Rondale Moore's. Taysom Hill or Tonyan, yeah, again, I think I would probably go Taysom over. I think I'd probably go Taysom over Tanya. This is probably like right where the line is for me. We got about 10 minutes left in this live. Going to go rapid fire with these start sits. I'm playing Hawk over Taysom for sure. Again, if you're watching live on YouTube, smash the subscribe button. We're trying to hit 2,000 YouTube subscribers, 10,000 YouTube subscribers this season. If you're watching on live on TikTok, make sure you hit the follow button. I'm playing Sutton over Eno. I'm playing Jacoby over Rondale. I smashed the like button. I would definitely play D-Hop over Eno. I would not play D-Hop over Debo, though. I'm playing Debo Samuel over D-Hop 100%. I smashed the like button, Taysom or Njoku. Yeah, I play Njoku over Taysom. Taysom Hill over Muth and Evan Ingram. Is Muth for sure back this week? I think he is for sure back this week, right? It's tough. I think I would probably play Muth over Taysom and over Evan Ingram. Thank you, Sam. Been a member for a while now. Have a good night. Thanks for answering my question. I got you, man. I appreciate you sticking around. Eno or Brian Robinson. I would go Eno or Curtis Samuel. I'd probably go Eno over Curtis Samuel. Yo, Sam, Olave or Jacoby Myers, half PPR, been a member for 2 years. Mason, shout out to you, man. And yeah, I think I would go Olave over Jacoby Myers in a half PPR league. I think Olave does get an edge, a slight bump in half PPR versus full PPR versus Jacoby Myers. I'm playing DeAndre Hopkins over Olave. I pivoted on this. Beginning the stream, I felt differently. We dove into the defensive numbers a little bit more. Now I feel like DeAndre Hopkins is a better play than Olave. I still think Olave is a little bit less of an unknown situation, right? We just haven't seen Hopkins play this season. We haven't seen him play for a while now, and he's 30 years old, and he's on an offense. He's joining an offense averaging 4.8 yards per play, but Hopkins has a way better matchup. We've seen 2 different receivers, elite receivers. I'll give them that. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson go over 30 fantasy points against the Saints, and they don't have Marshawn Lattimore again tonight. And we have not really seen any big games against the Cardinals secondary. They've been really good at stopping the top receiver. Cooper Kupp, only 16 points against this defense. It was his worst game of the season. Cooper Kupp had his worst game of the season against this Cardinals secondary. They've stopped A.J. Brown. They've stopped some pretty good receivers. So Olave's going to have his work cut out for him tonight, but I still think he's startable in most situations because of the usage. I would play Godwin over Olave, though, seeing that one in the TikTok live. I would play Eno over Tony Pollard, even though it's a great matchup for Tony Pollard. This week, I'm certainly playing Swift over Lazard. This week, I would play Olave over Gallup. Yes, I would play Olave over Gallup. Gallup, Ayuk, Keenan, Olave, Wandale, Chris Godwin, Michael Gallup need 3. Yeah, so you're definitely playing Godwin. You're definitely playing I think you're definitely playing Olave too. I think you definitely got to play Olave and Godwin, and then probably Keenan if he plays. You're playing Keenan for sure, and if he doesn't play, I'd probably go with Ayuk and bench Gallup. But it's certainly close between Ayuk and Gallup for me. But yeah, you got to start Olave. You got to start Godwin. A D-Hop or Kenneth Walker at flex. Yeah, you got to go Kenneth. I think over D-Hop. I think Kenneth is in too good of a spot, too high of a floor to be benching Kenneth. Even though I really do like DeAndre Hopkins tonight. Hey Sam, what's your thoughts on Gabe Davis for Travis Etienne? Gabe Davis is a complete enigma right now for projections, from a projection standpoint. Guys, Gabe Davis has scored a touchdown on over 25% of his receptions. I mean, that is ridiculous. Ridiculously ridiculous for Gabe Davis, scoring on over a fourth of his catches are TDs. He doesn't have a game with more than 4 catches this season. I would prefer Travis Etienne the rest of the season over Gabe Davis for that reason. Juwan Johnson or Evan Ingram. Yeah, I'd still go Evan Ingram over Juwan Johnson. Please help me. I got you, man. Marcus Callaway, Michael Pittman, Tyler Lockett, or Christian Kirk. Yeah, certainly not Callaway. Certainly it's Michael Pittman. Certainly this one's Michael Pittman. Yeah, you got to start Michael Pittman. Olave or Dillon. Yeah, I think I would go Olave over Dillon at this point. I think the ceiling's just way higher for Olave. I'm playing Mike Williams, though, 100%. You got to hold out hope for Mike Williams. I know he's coming off a really tough game against a lockdown Patrick Surtain, but you got to hold out hope for Mike Williams, and there's a good chance Keenan sits again this week. And if that happens, man, you're going to have wanted Mike Williams in your lineup. Yeah, I'd go Ingram over Schultz. Duvernay or Corey Davis. I'd probably go Corey Davis over Duvernay. It sounds like Elijah Moore might not play this week after requesting a trade. Olave or Sutton. I'm playing Sutton over Olave. Rondale Moore or Jacoby Myers. Yeah, I think I would probably go with Jacoby Myers over Rondale Moore. The only reason I'm hesitant is there is some projected rain against the Bears, but yeah, I still think I would go with Jacoby Myers. Thanks for the answers. Love you, bro. I got you, man. Thursday Night Football, start 2. I got you, Jacob. Rondale Moore, DJ Moore, Ayuk, Judy, Pickens, full PPR, absence Ayuk, and Rondale Moore. Jacob, first of all, thank you for checking out the WalterPicks app. And this is one of my favorite ways to see questions framed, because I've spent the last 3 years helping build the WalterPicks app, which helps us make the most optimal start-sit decisions in fantasy football by letting us compare players' projected points using machine learning and by simulating each week 10,000 times so we can get an accurate sense of players' ceiling and floor. Each week, boom and bust probability. So yeah, the app is the best place to go. The WalterPicks app, completely free to download and try out in the iOS and Android app stores. So let's get to this question though. So yeah, the after that Ayuk and Rondale over DJ Moore, over Judy. Yeah, this one's really close, man. I'm sure the app had these guys close too, and over Pickens as well. Yeah, I actually do really like Pickens this week too. The question really to me, Jacob, is how risky do you want to get? Again, I think Rondale has a really good floor. I think he's going to get close to 10 points. Like, that's not so exciting, but it's also not the worst thing in the world in fantasy. If you think you have an edge in your matchup, I'm okay going Rondale in this one. But if you think you really need like a big game, you can't go Rondale Moore here. I would go George Pickens over Rondale Moore for the ceiling. Personally, I'd probably play Ayuk at the bazooka and George Pickens. Hey, Sam, Murray or Tua? Yeah, I'm playing Tua. 1,000% I'm playing Tua over Kyler Murray again. Let's run through this one more time. Why I'm taking the Saints tonight over the Cardinals. The Cardinals are dead last in the NFL in yards per play. They're averaging 4.8 yards per play. That's tied for dead last with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Is DeAndre Hopkins really going to fix that? Like, is one player really going to fix that, especially with Marquise Brown out? I don't think so, man. Murray has really been disappointing this season, and I think that a lot of the blame should be on the coach, Cliff Kingsbury, but some of the blame should be on Kyler himself. And yeah, with Tua coming back against the Steelers, who are still really beat up on defense, I think you got to trust Tua over Kyler. WalterPicks this season flex Chris Olave or Kenneth Walker. I'm definitely playing Kenneth Walker over Chris Olave. I don't think that's even too much of a decision. You got to start Kenneth against the Chargers run defense. TJ Hawkinson or Zach Ertz. Yeah, I think I would go. I would go Ertz. Yeah, I would go Ertz. Just slightly over TJ Hawkinson. ETN or AJ Dillon. Yeah, this one's close too. I think I would probably go ETN though over Dillon at this point. ETN's coming off back-to-back 100-yard games. And it's a pretty good matchup for ETN this week too. Josh Reynolds or Jeff Wilson. Yeah, you got to go Jeff Wilson, I think, over Josh Reynolds. Benjamin or Mike Gallup. Yeah, I'd play over Gallup. I'm seeing a Dak or Kyler question. I would play Dak over Kyler as well. Thanks, Goat. I got you, Brett. Najee, Swift, or Dameon Pierce. Pick two. Yeah, you got to bet Geno in this one. And Najee. Play Swift and Dameon Pierce. Play Swift and Dameon Pierce. Mike Evans or D-Hop. You got to play Mike Evans this week too over D-Hop. I'm playing Waddle over D-Hop as well. I mean, we just saw it from Waddle and Tyreek. We just saw why we have to always be playing them. And now also Tua is coming back and also a great match against the Steelers. All things moving in the right direction for Waddle and Tyreek. I think both are must starts moving forward. Kenneth Walker plus Amari Cooper for Amon-Ra plus Brian Robinson. Yeah, this is the type of trade I like making, man. I still think you're giving up a good asset in Kenneth Walker, but Amon-Ra by far the best player in this trade. I'm okay with this one, Alex. And I don't love Brian Robinson. I don't love that he's in the three-way committee with J.D. McKissic and Antonio Gibson. But I still think it's a fine trade to make because you're getting the best player in the trade. Aaron Jones or Eno Benjamin? Oh, God, yeah, this one's so tough because Aaron Jones is Aaron Jones. We've seen Aaron Jones have these massive weeks, but we haven't seen it this season. Eno Benjamin does project slightly better than Aaron Jones. And he also is in a slightly better matchup tonight than Aaron Jones has. This week, I am okay playing Eno Benjamin over Aaron Jones. It doesn't feel great. But I think it is the right move. I'm definitely playing Eno over Jeff Wilson. I'm not playing Olave over Deebo Samuel. I'm not playing Olave over Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm not playing Olave over Zeke either with the matchup that Zeke has. I'm not doing that. I'm not playing Olave in those situations. I think Olave is a good start. He's a good start tonight. But I'm not playing over these elite options because the Cardinals have been really good at stopping the top receivers of other teams. Arizona defense tonight, yeah, for sure in play. They're playing Andy Dalton with no Michael Thomas, with no Jarvis Landry. So yeah, for sure, Cardinals defense in play tonight. They've been okay against the pass. I mean, good against the pass. They've been okay against the run. They've been horrible against tight ends. So I think that they're certainly in play against Andy Dalton. T-Law or Tua. Yeah, I'm playing Tua over Trevor Lawrence. All right, we got a few more minutes here. We're actually going to wrap up the YouTube live right now. We'll get to a few more questions on the TikTok live before I wrap up. I think you play Olave if you're going for the ceiling. Eno is a much safer play though, Cole. Eno is a safer play because Eno played 90% of the snaps last week. He ran a route on almost 70% of Kyler's dropbacks. Olave has a really high ceiling. He leads the NFL in air yards. This is not a good matchup for Olave, but again, there's no competition for targets tonight with MT and Jarvis out. So I would personally play Olave because I'm someone who likes to take risks for big rewards, and that's what Olave is. But if you're not like that, if you're not like me, Cole, and you want to play it safe, Cole, you go Eno. Both are good starts tonight, though. Both are good options. This is sort of a win-win in my opinion. Sam, I need help. Trade Pittman for Pierce. I wouldn't trade Pittman straight up for Pierce. I don't think. I think it's probably a pretty fair trade, especially if you need a running back. Would you start Wan'Dale over Kirk? No, I wouldn't start Wan'Dale over Kirk, though. I do think Wan'Dale is a very sneaky bench stash right now. Olave or Eno, yeah, again, I think we just broke that one down. I would play DeAndre Hopkins over Amari Cooper this week, though. Cooper is in a pretty good spot. YouTube is better than TikTok. I agree, actually, that the YouTube Live experience is better than the TikTok Live experience because I can pull up your comment just so much easier. And then also in the Sunday morning lives, I can just present more information on the YouTube lives. I can show you my top 10 rankings, every position. I can show you all my picks against the spread. I can show you my DraftKings lineup. I can show you the player props all on the screen, where on TikTok, all I can do is the green screen effect. And also the comments I can't really pull up on the screen. So if you're on the TikTok live, I mean, you're literally, and that's the thing too, if you're watching live on TikTok, you're also like 2 presses of your finger away from the YouTube live because it's right in the TikTok bio to get to the YouTube live. So yeah, I agree. The YouTube live is better, just in general. But I keep both up because I respect the TikTok people. I love the TikTok following that we built, and I'm okay doing both. But yeah, the YouTube live experience is better, and I try to shout that out at least a couple times per live because I want people to get the best experience possible on these lives. Eno or Najee. Oh God, yeah, I think you can still. I think you still got to go Eno over Najee. Yo, Sam. Yo, Yeet Cool. Juju or Michael Gallup. Yeah, I think you probably go Juju over Gallup, but it is a pretty good matchup for Goff with Dak returning too. Goff probably has a higher ceiling. Juju safer floor, I would say. Jones or Goff? Are you talking Mac Jones? If you're talking Mac Jones, I'd probably go Goff. All right. That's my time, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Time is the most valuable thing we have. So thank you for spending some time with me today. Again, we're just quick recap. You got to start Hopkins tonight. I'm taking Hopkins over 5.5 receptions as the prop tonight. I think the Saints win this game, though. I don't think DeAndre Hopkins comes back and all of a sudden just completely fixes the Cardinals offense, which ranks dead last with 4.8 yards per play. I think you start Olave in most situations as well. I would play Hopkins over Olave, but Olave with no MT, with no Jarvis Landry, I still think he's startable despite the tough matchup. I think Eno's a must start. I think Alvin Kamara, obviously a must start. I think Alvin Kamara scores his first touchdown today too and goes over 100 yards. And I think Zach Ertz is a must start. I think the fringe starts are Rondale Moore, Taysom Hill, and Juwan Johnson all have really low floors. I think Rondale Moore is the safest floor though, and he doesn't really have a ceiling, though Taysom and Juwan Johnson, really low floors, but still decent ceilings in this game. Have a good one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back live as always on Sunday morning. All right.